since we essentially specialize in how people look at cities and people's interaction with cities, I do believe and feel very strongly that cities of the future will be scenarios where people from different communities will be grouped together, hopefully based on shared interests and attributes. But there will be a very, very intrinsic need for these people to have some sort of common ground, to also get to know each other better and to build communities so as to have their lives enriched. I think that is something that city planners, urban developers really will need to focus on, because building cities, as wonderful as it is, can be very taxing to make sure that the people living in the cities have fulfilled life. I've lived in two of the biggest cities in India. I've lived in Delhi and Mumbai between 1994 and 2014. And I honestly feel that the biggest challenge we have currently would be transportation, public transportation. There is a dire need to ease the roads of all the cars that are, well, on the roads, causing a lot of traffic jams and also pollution. But moreover, there is no comfort for a regular working person to get from point A to point B without feeling the stresses of city life, and that is felt mostly during the commute, because most people live in suburbs and they work in city centers. And I feel that the biggest challenge to me would be having a smooth functioning public transport system, which is also based on clean energy, so that we can cut back on pollution. I don't know if this is a very utopian idea, but this is something that I feel that is a complete must, especially in cities which are upwards of 20 million people, like Kolkata, Delhi, Bombay. In terms of opportunities, I feel that there are so many satellite towns that are mushrooming all over the country, and housing that is also springing up in these satellite towns. And I feel that every time a new city or a new version of a city is allowed to be built, there is that opportunity to make it that much better, to learn from previous mistakes and add that learning to these new hubs and make people's living and experience better. So I feel there is not one thing, but I think it's a collective of learnings that we can take with all these cities that are mushrooming up. I think cities are fascinating. Most of the cities that we're used to have originated from Aboriginal hubs. There used to be clusters of villages which were then put together to form cities. Mumbai itself was 7 different islands which sort of coagulated into this one big, bustling, crazy city full of organized chaos. And I feel that cities allow lives to be very, very enriched. You have employment, you have infrastructure, good or bad. You have that. You have food, you have transportation, you have water. You have people around you at any given point of the time, of the day. You have so many opportunities for social interaction. I personally feel that cities, and that's because I favor cities over every other form of town or village, allow a person to lead a life which is very enriched. I'm repeating myself, but at the same time allow themselves to experience so many different facets of life, whether it's music, whether it's cultural events, whether it's community, whether it's neighbors, whether it's just work. I feel that cities have thousands and thousands of stories coming out of them, have had stories coming out of them, and will continue to have stories coming out of them. Few things that make a city different from another city are the people, but the common ground of the people, which eventually leads to culture, either now or a little bit later, over years, it develops into culture. That becomes very key to the identity of a new city. And I'm not quite sure if future cities, if when they're built from scratch, will have that, because we'll have that immediately. But there is scope. Whenever you group people together over a period of time, they have common interests and they develop further and further and further, and it morphs into this brilliant, colorful identity which we call culture, customs, little festivals, and not related necessarily to religion. I feel that is very important. If people have some hold on the sort of people to be grouped under these new cities, it would be interesting to see if we can get people of similar, who share common ideas or attributes. Again, it's a utopian version of future cities that I'm talking about, but I honestly believe that the culture that people share is what makes them different from other places.